Hi again, fellow unlicensed thinkers. If you could take a moment to think about what groups you identify with or against, and what people you idolize or admonish. You see, sometimes we may see certain people as bad, but they may actually have some great ideas. They may have some value that they offer the world. And the same goes the other way. We could identify with a group or a person who we believe to be good or who has done something good, only to find that they have become corrupted. They have taken on bad ideas, or maybe they just always had them and we didn't notice. But what happens is we identify with these people, or we identify with these groups, and then we have a tendency to go along with or justify whatever it is that they may be doing. And so we can kind of watch ourselves shift along with them because we or our egos have identified with them. And of course, we don't want to be wrong. That would be horrible. That's like a little death. So the idea is to make ideas and ideals your heroes or your enemies, and not the people that use those ideas for good or evil. When the ideas and the ideals are your heroes, you open yourself up to call out any group or person that is not behaving as you would deem appropriate, as you would find acceptable for whatever your morals are, which I'm not going to try to dictate too much, but you're able to call them out. You're able to say, you're going against what I believe. You're going against my idea or my ideals. And this is a lot harder when we identify with or against something. So if we identify against something, we make it harder to say, those guys actually have a good point. So I may not like them in general, but right now, they're making a good point. And so I don't want to throw that bad idea out, or that good idea out, that good point out. I don't want to dismiss it simply because of who said it. This is why attacking the person or attaching to a person is never a good idea, or a group. Think of person or group as kind of the same thing in this respect. So then we have, on the other side of that, we have good people or good groups that behave in a way that we would find inappropriate. Well, it's real easy for us to kind of justify it or go along with it and make it not such a big deal in our head, even though in our hearts we know that what they're doing, what they're saying is bad. So we've identified them as being good. So in a way, our ego kind of pushes us to find a way to believe that whatever they're doing or saying is good, when truly we know it's not. And this is what has happened with a lot of groups and societies throughout history that have gone down bad paths, is they've identified with the group or the society or whatever it might be, or some figure in the society. And they're getting led down these bad paths. And I'll give an example for me, and I could probably give you 100 examples, but this just happens to be the one I picked. So in my time, following politics either closely or not so closely, I've identified all over the political spectrum. And the one I want to use as an example right now is the libertarianism. They're a good group. They really are. that's not how I identify anymore. But the point of this is I didn't, like, I agreed with a lot of stuff that they said, but then there was some stuff that that really didn't suit me, to be perfectly honest. But I kind of, at the time, I justified why I should believe it, or I thought, oh, well, I've identified with a libertarian, so I must identify with all of the aspects of being a libertarian. And anyone who knows anything about libertarianism, nobody can argue what makes a libertarian more than a libertarian. So that's a whole nother fun story. But more to the point, there were some qualities that were well suited to me and some that were not. And so the problem or what I did wrong there is I identified as a libertarian. And no offense to anyone who does. You're great people, I'm sure. But for me, what that did is it caused all of this stuff to be lumped in together. And so I identify as a libertarian. Therefore, I must identify with this libertarian value, because otherwise it breaks my what my ego thinks of as me. And it makes my ego say, well, I was wrong. I have to grow in a different direction. I have to change. And to the ego, that's an absolutely horrible thing. And so one of the big aspects of libertarianism is the NAP, or non-aggression principle. And I'm going to sum it up very briefly here. It's basically, don't ever be the one who initiates some kind of violence or offense. To sum it up even further, don't be a dick first. So if someone is attacking me, of course, I am now justified in going after them, but I do not go after someone with violence first. And so this idea is great. And so now I don't identify as a libertarian, because that's a group or a person. Now I identify as someone who likes the non-aggression principle. And I find it a very valuable just way of viewing the world and way of viewing interactions. So I identify with this idea or this ideal. I don't identify with this particular group that it is known for, I guess. And so now when I was a libertarian, if I wanted to say, I don't believe that particular aspect of libertarianism, something else aside from the non-aggression principle, well, now I sort of have to explain myself, right? Like, because I have this group and, I kind of, there's this attachment here and it gets all awkward and I don't want to mess up my whole thing with the group and be an outsider and then have to not identify with the group. And so it gets really complicated when I don't want to believe something. But now if I want to change my mind and I want to incorporate something other than the non-aggression principle or modify the non-aggression principle in some way, I'm fine to do that because I'm not identified with the group. So there's less of there's less chains, I guess you could say, holding me into that way of thinking. So now I can interpret the non-aggression principle in the way that suits me best. And this sounds like a slippery slope. I don't want it to be that, because we can easily say, well, if I can just reinterpret what an idea means, then I can just change it all the time. That's sort of correct. I mean, you want to have some kind of a base that you can fall back to. You can update that base at any time. So I can say, there's this aspect of the non-aggression principle that I don't like. And so I can think through it. I can evaluate, is this something that I actually want to change it within my beliefs? Without waiting for this person or group to decide that they want to make that same change, or for them to make a change and me to kind of blindly follow along with them. Because that is what our tendency is. We get into a group, we get into a tribe, whatever it might be, and wherever that tribe goes, we go because that's where the food is. And so that's where the food and the safety is. So now if something better shows up, if I like something better, if I want to change the way I think about it, I can sit down, I can analyze my beliefs. And I don't have to worry about this other group or anything like that because I'm not identified with them. I'm Cody. That's it. I'm just Cody. And whatever Cody believes is what Cody believes. And Cody can change that any time, and he will still be Cody. And he doesn't have to identify as something else. And I think Max has something to add. What do you got to say, buddy? No, that was it? Okay, he says that I'm rambling too much and that we should probably end this video. So I'm going to do exactly that. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Be sure to hit like and share this video around. Have a great day.